Last time on Dragon Ball Z, the Kaioshin realm is a world beyond space, a world where gods live peacefully while watching over the universe. However, there was one point in history when the Kaioshin did not stop evil from spreading. That was the evil tyrant Frieza, whose paranoia drove him to destroy planet Vegeta. However, in the mists of death, a single pod blasted off into space onto an unknown world. Kakarot's parents, Gine and Bardock, had a destination in mind for their child, but unforeseen turbulence pushed the pod off and past the limits of space. Kakarot lands on the Kaioshin world, where he is found by Universe 7's Kaioshin. What will the Kaioshin do with the child? A legend is born now. Divinity and innocence. What if Goku landed on the world of the Kais?
The two residents of the planet walked towards the pod that just crash-landed onto their planet. How could this be? They both wondered. No one was supposed to be able to just land on the planet. Kibito was ready to send it off again, or maybe even destroy it. However, Shin stepped up to it and watched the door open. Out of it came a small Saiyan child. He was very rowdy and pulled on Kibito's hair once he picked him up. Kibito pleaded to Shin to send him off, but Shin didn't want to just send a child off to die, so the Supreme Kai decided to bring him into his home. Sure, he didn't have any right to be there, but Shin saw something in him. While racing the Saiyan, they attempted their best to make him gain control over his own power and destructive capabilities. Kibito never really understood why Shin wanted to keep him around. Not only was he immortal, but also very weak. One day, while taking care of Goku, Shin took him up to where the sea sword was kept to look at the landscape around them and teach Goku where everything was. Goku tried to pull on the sea sword, and when he failed to pull it out, he fell off the top and cracked his head open while hitting the ground. Immediately, Shin and Kibito took care of the boy, and surprisingly, Kibito was the one most worried about him. Eventually, Goku got better and begins to act more happy and willing to learn. Goku will also turn into an Ozaru, as the Kaioshin's world has many moons orbiting it. They would be forced to cut off his tail, though this reinforces Kibito's dissatisfaction with the Saiyan. The tail would grow back, and Goku would learn not to look at the moon, but eventually the Ozaru would come out again, and they would be forced to cut it off again. Goku was taught to harness his ki, train his body, and expand his mind. This Goku maybe wouldn't be named Goku. However, some Kaioshin names are often based around mythical figures, or verbs. So, maybe he would be named Goku after all, since Son Wukong is a mythical figure. This Goku is also smarter and a lot tougher than the one in our universe at a young age. He would be taught many techniques by the Supreme Kai, including Kibito's Kai. Shin is also a lot stronger than Frieza and even Piccolo after the Cell Games, so Goku will grow up training with much more experience and powerful beings than that of Earth. Speaking of Earth, it is pretty much doomed to fall under Pilaf's rule, or a possible comeback by Piccolo. But back to the Kaioshin world. A few years pass, and a crash is heard in the outskirts of the river, while Goku and Shin trained a little. He had been trying to pull the sea sword out for a long time now, but still couldn't get there just yet. The three went to look at what happened, and found a similar ship to Goku's. Out of it came out a Saiyan, that said his name was Raditz, and he was Kakarot's brother.
Come on, Kakarot, together we can destroy these two weird-looking elves, I'm sure of it.
Goku had no idea what he was talking about, but wouldn't take his threats lightly. Goku smirked at his brother, and instantly rushed at him. The battle began with Raditz being easily overwhelmed by Goku. Kaioshin tried to get him to stop, but Kibito told him that this is something that Goku must definitely do by himself. Goku finished off the Saiyan and told him to leave off the world and never come back. Raditz attempted to attack Goku in the back as he turned, but Kibito appeared in front of Raditz and broke his hand before killing him. Goku was saddened, but he knew that Kibito had saved his life. He gave Raditz a chance, after all. Unknown to him, Raditz's scouter had sent a conversation to Vegeta and Nappa. They realized just how much power Kakarot had, and decided that they could need him and use him in the battle against Frieza. Maybe they would pay him a visit. Remember, this Raditz and Nappa don't know anything about the Dragon Balls, and neither does Frieza. They still want to take him down, and without the prospect of immortality, they need to look for other ways to be able to defeat the monster. Some time passed, and Goku wondered and asked about the Saiyans. He didn't believe everything Raditz told him. Shin would explain that he's a survivor from a long-dead warrior race, a bunch of space pirates that served under the Emperor Frieza. Goku is disappointed by the revelations of his past. He knew he was different, but he didn't like the fact that he belonged to a race of murderers. Despite his better judgment, he asked,
But what happened to them? Why am I here?
Shin looked down at his feet, not wanting to answer the question. Kibito stepped forward instead and explained that Frieza, the man they had worked for many years, had killed them all. Goku was one of the very few survivors. The man was very upset. Though he hated the Saiyans, he became even more upset that this Frieza guy hadn't been taken care of by Supreme Kai. They told Goku not to do anything drastic. Goku kept the distrust of the Kaioshin in his heart for some time, but continued his training, every day getting a little closer to taking out the Z-Sword. But suddenly, 2 more pods crashed. Damn it, Shin thought. They should have seen this coming. Once again, they met the 2 Saiyans. It boggled Shin's mind to realize just how easily accessible the Kaioshin realm was to some of these people. They decided that after this, they had to destroy all the ships that had crash landed.
Kakarot, this planet, how did you come to land here?
Vegeta asked. Nappa wanted to get rid of the other 2, but Vegeta stopped him.
No need, Nappa. We're here for Kakarot. We know how powerful you are. It's despicable that a low-class Saiyan scum like you could be so strong, and I want to see for myself just how powerful.
Without warning, Vegeta came in to attack Goku. The battle was intense, but Goku had more power than the Saiyans anticipated. At one point, Vegeta even called forward Nappa to join in the battle, and Goku barely struggled against the 2 Saiyans at once. Goku defeated them. Vegeta was upset, but he knew better than to blow up on his face. He couldn't win. Instead, he turned towards his ship.
I'm going against my morals since you're low-class trash, but I'm sure you know that Nappa and I want to take down Frieza. We could use your power on our team when the time comes.
Shin was flabbergasted. So this is what the Saiyans wanted. Vegeta and Nappa left, and Goku stood there in silence. A few nights passed, and Shin told Goku that Frieza isn't matters that he should care about. That, while he's a tyrant, he isn't a universal threat like Majin Buu. It's below the Kaioshin's pay grade. Goku turned back to look at him.
You taught me right from wrong, and what Frieza's doing, it's completely awful.
Shin glanced over at Kibito, who had his eyes closed. Shin knew that Goku needed closure in this, so he waved him off. Goku nodded, placed 2 fingers on his forehead, and searched for Vegeta's energy.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back. And now back to our show.
He appeared in front of Vegeta and Nappa at a distant planet.
I'll take care of Frieza myself.
Vegeta grabbed Goku by the collar of his outfit.
Frieza is mine, Kakarot.
But Goku wasn't hearing it. He didn't want to think about it, but he knew that Vegeta would try to become the Emperor after Frieza's death. That time would come eventually, but for now, they needed to focus on Frieza. The 3 headed to Frieza's chambers, where Goku introduced himself as the Saiyan who had come to defeat him. Frieza laughed and sent Zarbon and Dodoria to attack him. Goku ignored them and rushed straight to Frieza, sucker punching him across the room. Meanwhile, Zarbon and Dodoria were fighting Vegeta and Nappa. The 2 had gotten a significant boost in power after Goku's battle, so they stood a chance. Vegeta in particular. Goku and Frieza's battle would take them outside, where the city around them would begin to crumble. Soldiers tried to attack Goku, but Frieza yelled at them that this was his battle. Goku pushed Frieza all the way to his 3rd form. Remember, Goku learned and trained with those who could have killed Frieza in a single blow. Though Goku is still not nearly as strong as them, he's a lot stronger than the Goku we know during the Frieza saga. Vegeta had defeated a bunch of Frieza soldiers, including Zarbon and Dodoria, though he needed Nappa's help to defeat Zarbon, and Nappa died in the process, but Vegeta could take care of most of the remaining Frieza soldiers. That was until the Ginyu Force showed up. Frieza stepped back from the battle for a second, and let the Ginyu Force battle Goku and Vegeta. The battles took some time, with 2-on-2s. Goku defeated Goldo and helped Vegeta defeat Recoome. Vegeta was very hurt, but he also helped in the battle against Jeice and Burger. Finally, it was time for Ginyu. Vegeta tried to keep helping, but he was hurt. He wanted to go after Frieza, so Vegeta threw up an artificial moon. Frieza damned the world and sent his remaining forces against Vegeta. Meanwhile, Ginyu tried to switch bodies with Goku, but Goku used his Kai Kai and teleported away, which caused Ginyu to exchange bodies with Goldo instead. You see, none of the Ginyu Force had been killed, except for Recoome, whom Vegeta finished off. However, Vegeta wanted to kill them all, and turned his gaze at Goldo, Ginyu, and the rest, blasting them off with his Ozaru mouth. Goku didn't want to kill them, but he wasn't going to protest. He tried to head to Frieza, but Vegeta slapped him out of the way. This didn't go down well for Vegeta, especially after Frieza reached his final form, where he cut off his tail. Vegeta was pushed aside in his regular state. Goku took this opportunity to go in and rush at Frieza with all his might, and he was at the very least equal to Frieza, but most likely high above him. They were both tired and beat. Goku then asked,
Why kill and take over all these planets? You've left children and families destroyed!
Frieza laughed coldly, and simply said that it was nothing personal. This ticked off Goku, and he could only think of all those he must have killed. Goku exploded in anger as the city shook around them, and his aura sparked up. Goku had become a Super Saiyan. Vegeta was in awe, but he also damped the world. Goku wasted little time as he battled Frieza. Frieza even tried to destroy the planet, with no luck, as Goku slapped his death ball away and into a nearby star. Goku finally punched Frieza one last time, which left him immobilized. The Saiyan began to walk away, telling Frieza to leave. Frieza used his last bit of energy to attempt to blast Goku, to which Goku responded by quickly turning around, ready to block the attack. However, the attack never even touched him, as Frieza hit the floor, dead. Vegeta had blasted through Frieza's chest. Goku looked at Vegeta sternly. Before leaving, Goku warned Vegeta not to do anything like Frieza did. Otherwise, he would come after him too. But they gave a light smile to each other.
Next time, I'll be the winner.
Back at the Kaioshin realm, Goku was greeted by Kibito and Shin, who were surprised by his new state. It was incredible power that they did not expect from any mortal. He is stronger than Goku in the original story. Though Kibito looks down upon this, Shin thinks that it's time to give Goku one last shot at the Sea Sword, as he believes Goku would be the one to eventually defeat Majin Buu if needed. They were proud of what he did against Frieza, and got closure against his enemy. They all gathered around as Goku's energy spiked up when he became a Super Saiyan. Slowly, the sword moved off the rock until it finally freed itself. It was very heavy, and Goku needed some time to adjust to it. He was incredibly happy and already felt strong. Time passed as he trained with the Sea Sword. Years even. One day, Goku challenged Shin to see how strong the Sea Sword is, and he strikes Kachin metal with the sword, breaking it in half. The team is terrified at first, until they hear a weird voice. The old Kaioshin had been released from the Sea Sword that Beerus had hid him inside long ago. Goku wants to get to know his secrets immediately, but he asks for a pretty girl. Otherwise, he will not help. Goku doesn't know any women, so sadly he can't help the old geezer. Kibito and Shin approached the old Kai about it, and explained that Goku is their ticket to defeat the universe's greatest threat. The old Kai reluctantly agrees, and begins to unlock Goku's hidden potential. Years passed without a peep from Buu, and Goku has become essentially the universe's greatest protector. One day, Kaioshin and Kibito catch wind from those on Earth, which is mostly humans and demons from Piccolo's army. The three head down to Earth and find Babidi's ship after following some of Babidi's men. There were swarms of Majins and demons all around that they all had to defeat, though it was fairly easy for all of them. Even Piccolo was taken down in the process. Goku takes care of the evildoers, including Dabura. However, all of this generates a lot of energy for Buu's revival, though not nearly as much as the one in the original story, as there aren't as many powerful beings on Earth. But Goku was way too fast for Babidi, and beat down the villain. Goku took one breath. He knew this was what he was training for his entire life. He had to kill Babidi, and so he did. Finally, Goku had accomplished his mission of stopping Buu's revival and saving the universe. He could live peacefully for now. But before he did, he searched for the energy of an old ally. Goku teleported and found Vegeta sitting on a throne of a planet. It looked to be solitary, with no life in sight. Goku smirked at Vegeta, who told them that he had been challenging warriors from across the universe and learning to be able to defeat him all these years. Though he thought about starting his own army, Goku said that he simply wanted to battle him. To his surprise, Vegeta had learned to obtain Super Saiyan, and the level above that, Super Saiyan 2. Goku smiled, and the battle began. Obviously, Goku would win, which is why he limited himself so the battle would be fair. Even so, Goku was winning, but he was quite impressed by Vegeta's techniques. He looked forward to their next battle, and hoped that he would become stronger too. The battle was declared a draw. Goku then headed back to the Kaioshin realm to celebrate. And this is where our story ends for now. Of course, there's still Super to cover, but maybe sometime in the future. I think this is a good place to end it, as Goku and the rest live peacefully for a few years. But as I said, there is the subject of the God of Destruction waking up. Goku sat quietly in a desolate field. Petals fell from the trees surrounding him, and he could feel everything in the world. The trees, the rocks, even the old Kai taking a nap. He felt their ki flow throughout. Ever since his last battle with Vegeta, Goku realized that he needed to get stronger if he wanted to ensure the universe would be alright. Vegeta was out there somewhere, training in order to surpass him. He couldn't keep his guard down. He then felt a great disturbance as Shin and Kibito rushed over to him. The Saiyan opened his eyes and tilted his head. He wondered what all the commotion was about and questioned them. He wasn't ready to hear the answer. 2 simple words. Lord Beerus. Goku's eyes widened. Having lived his whole life in the Kaioshin realm, Goku was already knowledgeable on the subject of deities. Lord Beerus was one of the most feared ones. As Goku stood up, Kibito placed a hand on his shoulder, telling him to keep his head down and mouth shut if he came to the planet. Before Goku could even answer, a flash of light blinded everybody. Before them appeared the God of Destruction, Lord Beerus, and his master.
Ah, Kaioshin, Kibito. It's good to see you. And of course, old Kai. My apologies for Lord Beerus trapping you in the sword last time.
The purple god stepped out from behind his angel, with a smirk across his face.
Whis, he deserved it.
Shin and the others laughed nervously. Goku, who had his head down, glanced over at Beerus. Their eyes met instantly.
Oh, who's this?
He's nobody.
I'm Goku. I live here. Shin and Kibito took me in.
Ah, so you're some kind of Kaioshin in training.
Beerus said as he examined Goku. Then Whis cleared his throat.
Lord Beerus, this is the Saiyan I told you about.
Beerus nodded, as if he already knew that. He then proceeded to ask him about the Super Saiyan God legend. Goku had no idea what he was talking about, but told him that he had the ability to transform into a Super Saiyan. Though Beerus asked for him to show it, Goku said that his power as a Super Saiyan isn't as impressive as what it is when he's in full power now that he has had his potential unleashed by the old Kai. Goku expanded his aura and his ki began to rise. Beerus smirked. He just knew that this was the same Saiyan from his premonition about the Super Saiyan God. However, this power was still not close to the one he imagined. Beerus sighed and said that he would have to go and investigate a little more about the Saiyan God, and said goodbye to them before leaving. This Goku is much more reserved than the one we know, so he actually doesn't ask for a fight. Instead, he decides to go and try to find whatever he can about the Super Saiyan God. Before then, however, Kaioshin yells at him for speaking to Beerus at all, and prohibits him from going out and trying to find out more. Goku reminded Shin that they have already had this conversation before, and it ended up with him liberating the universe from Frieza. If this power could help him defend the universe from future tyrants, then he needed to find it. Reluctantly, Kaioshin agreed to let him be. Goku decided that his first step to finding about the legend was going to be to find Vegeta. He was much more knowledgeable in the subject of Saiyans than he was after all. Goku searched for the key of his old rival through the universe, finding him in a small planet named Yardrat. In the blink of an eye, Goku was gone, but he wasn't alone. Shin and Kibito actually went with him. He argued with them about it, but they wouldn't budge. They insisted on coming along with him. They quickly find Vegeta, who smirked at the sight of Goku.
Ah, Kakarot, we meet again.
Goku looked around Vegeta. He was surrounded by aliens kneeling before him and some Yardrats standing tall. Goku asked what was going on, and Vegeta explained that the power vacuum created after Frieza's death allowed for him to start his own band of mercenaries. However, they only sold a handful of planets before stumbling upon Yardrat. There, Vegeta trained and learned. He respected the Yardrats, and they respected him. His band of mercenaries made a home there. Goku didn't know if to even ask a question about the planet conquering, but he left that aside. He wasn't sure if he even believed him. But Vegeta looked much different from before. Tougher, rougher, and even had an eye covered by an eye patch. His armor was broken and beaten in places, and he wore some kind of fur cape. Clearly, Vegeta has seen a lot of action since their last battle. The prince explains that King Cold and the remaining Frieza forces went after him, since they couldn't find Goku. That's where he lost his eye, but he was still able to defeat him. He then pointed over to a pile of junk. That was actually the mothership they had stolen. He also mentioned that, though the Yardjets offered him an outfit to train in, he decided that he liked his Saiyan armor a bit more. Kibito and Shin winced. They both thought he smelled pretty bad. Goku was starting to get excited. His rival was really getting stronger. But there was no time. He asked Vegeta if he knew anything about the Super Saiyan God. Vegeta shook his head. He said that he only heard about the Super Saiyan, and they both already achieved that legend, but he did have an idea on how to find out if it was that urgent. Along his travels, he heard whispers that Planet Namek had great knowledge about the universe, and even a wishing dragon. He wanted to head that way anyways, and told Goku that if they found out, then he would have to use that power to defeat Goku. Shin and Kibito scoffed at the idea, but Goku accepted. He put his hand on Vegeta's shoulder, ready to teleport. Vegeta slapped his hand away.
I can do it myself! Team, take care of this place and the ship while I'm gone.
He put 2 fingers up to his forehead and teleported to Namek. Once there, the team headed to the nearest Namekian village. The Namekians were very welcoming, even in the face of Vegeta's rudeness. Kaioshin and Kibito were very thankful, and they are told about the Grand Elder. Together, they go to the Grand Elder's place. There, they found an older Namekian named Neo, and a younger one named Dende. But the main attraction was Muri, the Grand Elder. They are surprised to be face to face with the Kaioshin, and say that they will help however they can. The Saiyans ask about the Super Saiyan God legend, and the Namekians tell him that there was once a book full of legends through the universe. However, that knowledge has been long lost from the Namekians. Perhaps Purunga, a dragon even older than they are, holds the knowledge they seek. The Namekians were willing to allow the Kaioshin to use the Dragon Balls, but weren't too trusting of Vegeta. They had heard rumors that new factions were being created after the defeat of an emperor, and he matched the description of one of the leaders. Vegeta smirked. Goku stared down at Vegeta, warning him not to do anything stupid. The team then gathers the Dragon Balls, and Dende helps with wishing for the new information. Purunga explained that there was once a powerful warrior that had such power, and he had the help of another 5 Saiyans. But his information was as limited as they thought it would be. Even so, they realized that they needed to do a ritual with 5 other Saiyans in order to achieve that power. He then asked for another wish. Then they asked if they needed anything else to ask, and Vegeta, seeing his opportunity, places a hand on Dende's shoulder, making him feel the ki charging up.
Ask him for me to have eternal life.
Goku quickly rushed at the aid of Dende, but Vegeta managed to dodge the attack and punch Goku in the gut.
I knew I shouldn't have trusted you.
Vegeta was much stronger than the last time they fought. Even so, Goku was above his league. A small fight ensued, though Vegeta was very agile and never let go of Dende. Vegeta then shook Dende to make him say the wish, but Vegeta was flicked in the back of the head, sending him off flying. Lord Beerus and his master had arrived.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back. And now back to our show.
I knew that sooner or later we'd end up on Namek. Seems like you figured it out, didn't you?
The Saiyan nodded, looking over to see if Vegeta was alright. Vegeta rushed in to fight Beerus, but Kibito and Shin jumped in front of him to stop him. Right then, Vegeta got a good look. Lord Beerus, the same one that had made his father cower many years ago. Goku explained that they do not have a way of summoning the power forward. There needs to be 5 Saiyans, and they only have 2. The angel chimed in, saying that there were some other Saiyans alive in the universe, but not enough to make the ritual. Beerus was getting impatient, and rose up to the sky. He was going to destroy planet Namek. His master suggested something about Universe 6, but Beerus dismissed it, saying that there's no way he's asking for help from his brother. Goku tried to think of something, anything. All he could do is show Beerus his power, try to make him see that there's still something he can do, some way, somehow. Goku yelled at Vegeta to power up alongside him. Though hesitant at first, Vegeta complied, and together the Saiyans powered up to their limit. Vegeta in Super Saiyan 2, and Goku in his mystic state. As Beerus launched his sphere, the 2 Saiyans tanked it, nearly absorbing the power onto themselves. Shin and Kibito screamed at Beerus to stop. They cared so much about Goku. A scream was heard, along with a faint roar. But then, there was a flash of light. Goku and Vegeta were unconscious on the ground, and everyone was still alive. Beerus had a slight smirk and told his master to bring the Saiyans along. Shin tried to stop him, telling him that Goku is basically his son. Beerus looked sternly at Shin and told him that he's only going to show him the ropes a bit more. He was confused, and the angel winked at Shin. Before they knew it, Beerus was gone.
Lord Beerus, why did you hold back on that attack?
Whis, don't act like you didn't see it either. The ki this Saiyan was emitting, it was almost godlike. Though not as powerful. It might have something to do with having lived his life with the Kais.
You're right, Lord Beerus. I've been observing him for quite some time before you woke up. He is impressive. And I can see why you brought the other one. When fighting, they take each other to another level unlike any other rivalry I'd ever seen. But how do you plan on obtaining this god power to fight?
That's on you, Whis. You'll figure it out as you train them.
Train them?
Goku and Vegeta woke up in an unfamiliar place. The only other person there was Whis, who told them to attack. Goku was skeptical, but without question, Vegeta went in for a hook. Swiftly, the angel spun around Vegeta and barely touched him with the staff. Vegeta crashed onto the ground below. Goku laughed, but the angel glanced back, challenging him to come at him. Goku finally agreed to, actually managing to dodge the same attack that brought Vegeta down. The white figure was already behind him, pushing him against Vegeta. Whis said that if they wanted to get stronger, if they really wanted to challenge Lord Beerus and satisfy him, keep him from destroying Planet Namek or any other planet, at least for now, then they needed to train with him. They were all confused, but he explained that this was actually Lord Beerus' idea, though he would never admit it. For now, he was sleeping, and he sneezed when his name was mentioned. Vegeta made it clear that if he was there to train, it was for his own sake, and not for any planets. Goku admitted that he wasn't doing it for that reason either. He was taught that destruction was a part of life, and he didn't want to stop Beerus from destroying any planets. However, when mortals try to hurt the innocent, that's when he steps in. A smirk curved on Whis' face. These Saiyans were a lot more interesting than he imagined. He told them that it was fine. Their training starts right away. What followed was a rough 2 years for the duo. Through that time, they learned to live together and deal with their differences. Vegeta would check back with his crew and the Yardrats periodically, and Goku with the Kais. This all culminated in Goku and Vegeta spending a long time in a different dimension, where they slowly figured out a way into godhood. Similarly to how Vegeta achieved it, there was no ritual required, simply intense training by a divine figure in this strange dimension. Goku had an easier time achieving it, as he was more familiar with what God Ki is supposed to be. Though Vegeta is very powerful, he hasn't had the experiences canon Vegeta has, such as the battle against Majin Buu and Cell. So this Vegeta is weaker than the canon one in the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan state. This Goku, on the other hand, is slightly stronger than canon Goku at this point. However, he lacks the martial arts expertise and isn't as smart when it comes to fighting. For example, he even lacks the Kaioken. After all, he is basically a Kaioshin in training. He didn't need to worry about training under the lower gods. Anyways, as the Saiyans trained together, the two got stronger and stronger. They really pushed each other to their limits. The angel was proud, and Beerus woke up not long after. After Goku and Vegeta came out of the dimension, they had a grand feast and showered. They were pumped and ready for the match of their lives. Beerus and the Saiyans stared each other down. As per his request, they were already in their god state. The angel proclaimed the start of the battle, and the two Saiyans rushed towards the God of Destruction. He is surprised by just how fast they are, but speed isn't going to be enough to beat him. Goku and Vegeta showed great sync when fighting, and they took Beerus on either side of him. However, Beerus was still faster and more aware of his surroundings. The battle went on for a while with no clear winner. The battle came to a head when Vegeta and Goku used their respective teleportation techniques to distract the God of Destruction. In the midst of teleporting, both Goku and Vegeta fired their respective blasts. This seemingly ended the fight, but once the smoke cleared, Beerus was nowhere to be found. Vegeta felt something wrap around his leg, and Goku got his head grabbed by the back. Beerus had taken his tail to grab Vegeta and smash him against Goku. They fell to the ground in pain, and Beerus started to charge up a final attack. But Goku and Vegeta weren't done just yet, and they put together one last attack. This was going to be the deciding move. Just then, however, a scream was heard. Kaioshin had teleported in the middle of the battle and fell to the ground with the old Kai. Shin was very hurt, and the old Kai wasn't looking at his vest either. Kibito was nowhere to be found. Beerus crossed his arms, and Goku asked what happened. Kaioshin simply said, Frieza. Goku and Vegeta looked at each other, terrified. Could it be that Frieza had returned? Goku ran over to Shin and helped him up. He tried to get something out of him, anything, but he was losing consciousness quickly. Beerus, whose own life was in danger thanks to the link between the Kaioshin and himself, grabbed onto him and brought him over to Whis.
I don't know what's going on, but I will make whoever did this pay. No, I will!
Beerus looked confused at the two Saiyans, insulted even, but he saw the fire in their eyes. For Goku, this was about avenging his friends, and for Vegeta, it was about finally defeating his tormentor. He understood. Plus, it would mean he wouldn't have to work too hard. Though Beerus did want to kill whoever almost killed him, he was willing to see just what the Saiyans had.
Fine, but don't come running to me if you die.
Goku teleported over to the Kaioshin realm, and Vegeta followed soon after. What they found there made Goku's heart shatter. Though the Kaioshin realm was much tougher than most planets, it wasn't invincible. In fact, there was a giant hole right through the center of the planet. Goku and Vegeta approached it.
Kibito, where are you?
There was no sign of life anywhere. Goku was a little sad and nostalgic to see his home destroyed, but there was no time to grieve. Goku asked Vegeta if he knew anywhere else Frieza could have gone. Vegeta was going to answer, but then he felt a sharp pain on his shoulder. He fell to his knees, and Goku looked up to find a small ship hovering over the planet, and a small alien on it. It was obvious that it was one of Frieza's men, and he had shot Vegeta with a ring blast.
Men, attack! Vegeta! Right behind you, Kakarot!
Vegeta jumped backwards to face another set of soldiers. Now, back to back, Vegeta and Goku fought dozens of Frieza soldiers. None of them could stand up against them, but they seemed endless. Plus, Vegeta's arm was very hurt. Goku and Vegeta both burst into Super Saiyan in order to fight, but the aura burst from the transformation alone was enough to blow away some of the villains. There was no time to waste, and the enemies wouldn't stop. Goku began to fly away with Vegeta on his tail. He yelled back,
Vegeta, Namek! What? Why? Just trust me!
The two Saiyans instantly teleported to Namek, as a giant blast from the Frieza forces evaporated. Sorbet damned the Saiyans as they escaped. But now, on Namek, Goku and Vegeta could rest for a second, right? No, of course not. Though far away, they saw a Frieza ship hovering over the Grand Elder's house. Vegeta looked over at the person he had locked onto to teleport, and it was one of his own soldiers from his band of mercenaries. No wonder he locked onto him so quickly. He recognized the key. It had been months since he had last seen them. For the sake of having some familiarity here, let's say it was one of the guys from Turles' squad, Kakao.
What the hell are you doing here? Where's the rest?
It was Frieza's army. They ended up at Yardran. They said if we joined them, they wouldn't hurt the Yardran. You know we couldn't have let them die.
Vegeta hated to admit it, but he did end up loving the people of that planet. But then he realized Kakao said they had joined Frieza. Kakao explained that he would never betray Vegeta, and that he was sure the rest of his squad wouldn't either. He was away from the main ship because they were tasked with looking for a Namekian.
Yeah, apparently Frieza needs him to use something called the Dragon Ball.
Goku and Vegeta looked at each other concerned. So that's what it was. They needed to stop Frieza. But there was still one issue. How was Frieza revived in the first place? They didn't have time to answer the question. As a group of Frieza soldiers attacked, Kakao helped them escape by serving as a distraction, promising to join up with them soon. He had been training with Vegeta before he left to train with Beerus, so he was quite powerful in his own right. Vegeta and Goku rushed at the Grand Elder's house, finding some soldiers there. They had to hide their ki in order to not be noticed, though some of the soldiers were leaving after finding a ki spike caused by the fight with Kakao. Vegeta and Goku managed to hide their ki, running to the base of the Grand Elder's place. They heard a voice cackle.
So, the Saiyans ended up at Kaioshin's place. No matter, they will end up here soon enough. I have one of their friends.
At Frieza's feet laid Kibito, barely alive from his wounds. Goku was clearly upset, but Vegeta pointed at something. Next to Kibito was the body of Murray, the Grand Elder they had met 2 years ago. So that's what happened. Meanwhile, at Beerus' planet, Kaioshin, who was a little better than before, explained the situation to the two.
The Namekians. They had been asking for our help, but we didn't see it until it was too late. The Frieza Force. They arrived and killed so many in order to revive Frieza. They managed to capture a Namekian and forced him to summon the dragon and wish for Frieza to return.
Kaioshin coughed up some blood, and the old Kai took on the story.
They also forced him to wish for Frieza to come to Namek. They had one wish left and Frieza asked for immortality, but...
Nail, kill me, but Elder, now!
The Dragon Balls stopped working, and Frieza took his anger down on the whole population, using the time to train himself for months. He became an incredible power, torturing the Namekians until someone let it spill that they could make a new set of Dragon Balls with a Dragon Clan member. But Frieza became impatient, leaving his forces to look for survivors while he came to our planet. He almost killed us. He destroyed half the world. He was looking for Kakarot. Kibito helped us escape. That's how we ended up like this.
Goku rushed in to fight Frieza, landing a punch straight across the Emperor's face. Caught off guard, Frieza was sent flying off, but all the soldiers began to attack Goku. Vegeta jumped out, coming after Frieza while Goku took care of the soldiers attacking him. Frieza quickly recovered, bursting his aura open as he transformed into his final form. Frieza was glad to see Vegeta. Finally, he'd be able to kill the prince. Frieza raised his finger, charging up a death beam. Vegeta was ready for it, as he appeared behind Frieza, flipping him backwards and slamming him against the ground. Frieza swiped his tail, tipping over Vegeta. Goku kept the enemies at bay, easily being able to defeat them. Once it was over, Goku burst his aura into a mystic state to fight Frieza.
My turn! Kakarot!
Goku stole the fight, and Frieza got a huge smirk. He wanted to show them his full power.
My, the Saiyans have gotten stronger. But don't worry, I have a challenge for you two. Inspired by your Super Saiyan. This would have been more spectacular if I had gotten my wish for immortality, but that damn Namekian had to die. No matter, soon enough you'll be dead too.
The planet began to shake, with every scouter exploding around. Frieza transformed his body into a golden one. Then, he taunted the Saiyans, telling them to transform into Super Saiyans. It wouldn't matter. Goku and Vegeta smirked at each other. In an instant, there was a flash of blue light and Vegeta burst into Super Saiyan Blue. Frieza wasn't fazed. They couldn't be much stronger than him, he thought. Vegeta rushed in first, fighting Frieza head-on. Vegeta is weaker than Goku in this universe, and Frieza got a little more time to train than in Resurrection F. This means that Frieza is actually pretty on par with Vegeta. Goku ran over to Kibito, but he was not responding. He was breathing, but he would not wake up. The fight between Frieza and Vegeta continued, but Goku heard a huge explosion behind him. Vegeta had been pushed into a volcano. Goku needed to go help Vegeta, but he felt multiple ki blasts hit his body. It seemed as if all of Frieza's men had arrived at the scene from all over the planet. Goku couldn't escape the barrage easily, but slowly they ceased. Goku opened his eyes and saw all of Vegeta's squad mates protecting him, with Kakao leading them. Kakao yelled back at Goku, telling him to help Vegeta. Goku nodded and rushed in to fight Frieza. The two's fight was a lot of fun for Goku, but Vegeta was a little upset. Goku quickly realized just how powerful Frieza had become, transforming into his Super Saiyan Blue state. And then, it was over for Frieza. Goku was too powerful for him. Frieza, though, had something else in mind. As Goku got ready to fire a final blast at Frieza, he whispered something.
But how could Frieza be so powerful? He was nothing the last time I saw him. He has a new form, but beyond that, he has a new ally.
Goku was shot and sent flying back onto the ship. Vegeta looked back to see who shot Goku, and his eyes widened. A tail whipped from behind the person, a man in white holding a smoking gun.
Well, if it isn't Prince Vegeta.
Vegeta's blue aura pushed him upwards from the destroyed ship. An explosion trailed behind him as he left it. The gunfire did little to him, but it did allow Frieza a chance to recover and zoom towards the soldiers. Frieza reverted back to his final form, sitting down on his chair. As he sat down, a large man stood next to him, throwing a defeated Kakao on the ground. Vegeta's own squad, who had tried to help Kakao too, were all spread out on the battlefield, defeated along with Frieza's soldiers. Kibito was finally coming to his senses, and all he could see was Kakarot's legs in front of him, with a fiery blue aura.
A Saiyan?
That's right, Vegeta. I heard you gained incredible power and led your own pirate band. How cute. But you never bothered considering those your father cast away for your gang? Frieza did. Now it's over for you.
Broly!
Vegeta and Goku took a step back as they watched the tall Saiyan with no tail step forward. Broly, huh? Neither Goku nor Vegeta knew what was going on. Meanwhile, Whis finished healing the two Kais. Thanks to the old Kai's crystal ball, they were able to watch the events in real time.
Oh? That's Saiyan. He has a latent power similar to Vegeta and Kakarot's. How's that possible?
Kaioshin winced. That had been the Saiyan that helped the Frieza Force attack them. Could the heroes really take him down? Goku rushed towards Broly. There was little time to waste. Paragus raised his hand, summoning Broly to the battlefield. Goku was clearly on top, beating Broly onto the ground. Frieza was disappointed at the sight, but Goku realized that Broly wasn't putting up too much of a fight. He was clearly powerful, but nothing compared to him. Goku stopped himself, asking why he was fighting at all, before being struck by a right hook to the face. Goku had to stay defensive. Vegeta laughed, rising up to Paragus and grabbing him by the collar.
What is this, a joke? This weak Saiyan can't take us on.
Vegeta then punched Paragus in the stomach. Goku heard the punch and looked back, stopping the fight. Broly's eyes shook. Goku glanced back at Broly, then heard another punch. Vegeta was beating Paragus.
Wait, Vegeta, stop!
The ground under their feet began to shake violently as the beating continued. Goku had no choice but to blast at Vegeta to keep him away from Paragus, but it was too late. Vegeta was knocked onto the ground, where he realized how violently it shook. The two Saiyans looked at Broly, whose eyes glowed yellow with anger, and his muscles bulged up. The planet cracked as Broly entered his enraged, savage state. Paragus gulped, terrified of Broly's power. This form was his full Ozaru power in humanoid form. They were all doomed. Planet Namek and whatever Namekians were left cried out in fear, hiding. Frieza finally got a smirk on his face, but he wanted Vegeta dead too. Now that he had gotten a little of his composure back, Frieza rose from his chair and zoomed in to attack Vegeta, distracted. Vegeta was caught by Frieza's tail and thrown onto a rock formation. The two battles continued, with Paragus watching as the world shattered apart around him. Kibito didn't have any power. He needed to regain his energy before he could do anything. Goku was finally starting to get a little overwhelmed by Broly. This state was so new to them that they weren't used to it. Meanwhile, Vegeta was having a fun match against Frieza. They were a lot more evenly matched than Goku and Broly, as it seemed that Broly just kept getting stronger and stronger with every punch. But Vegeta thought to himself, why isn't Kakarot fighting in full power? He knew there was more in store, but Goku knew exactly why. He knew that Broly wasn't fighting because he wanted to. It was because of his father or Frieza, right? He didn't seem to be entirely under his own control. Paragus' finger nervously shook over the button of the remote. He had to stop Broly before he killed everyone. Broly blasted Goku across the ocean, and the scared Paragus finally pressed it. Broly screamed out in pain. Goku looked over at Paragus, and so did Frieza.
Stop it! You're killing him!
Stop it! The monkey was almost defeated!
As if in unison, both Goku and Frieza blasted at Paragus. While Goku aimed at his hand, Frieza aimed at his heart. Paragus tried to dodge away from the death beam, but this simply pushed him into Goku's attack. Paragus died instantly, but Broly stopped being electrocuted. Goku cursed under his breath, spinning to face Broly. What he saw he was not prepared for. Broly grabbed his head in pain, exploding in a golden aura full of incredible ki. Goku, Vegeta, Kibito, and Frieza were all pushed away. Broly rushed to Goku, attacking him relentlessly. Frieza realized just what kind of monster he had unleashed on the planet. He needed to get away, but Vegeta wouldn't let him. In fact, when Broly exploded his aura in a barrage of ki bullets, Vegeta grabbed a hold of Frieza in a full Nelson and appeared in front of every ki ball, using Frieza as a meat shield. Frieza was severely hurt by every ki ball. Finally, Frieza managed to get away, rushing up to the sky. He wasn't about to die alone, he thought, as he threw down a giant death ball. Broly and Goku's fight was intense, and the two punched each other into opposite ends of the ki ball. The explosion pushed the water from the ocean up in the sky, and Goku and Broly stared each other down, panting, looking into each other's eyes through the water. The water rained on them, soaking the fighters. But as soon as the last drop splashed onto the ground, the fight continued. The death ball would destroy the planet just as Frieza planned. Vegeta joined in the battle against Broly. Frieza had seemingly disappeared, but in reality, he had escaped to a space pod in his ship. It worked, regardless of the damage. A power ball was launched. Vegeta looked up. So there he was. Vegeta got ready to blast it down, but Broly grabbed Vegeta by the face and smashed it against Goku. Frieza escaped, and the Saiyans were doomed. Or so he thought. After all, Goku can teleport freely, but with Broly beating on them, he couldn't just do it easily. In fact, their power was running out severely low because of how much damage they had taken.
Why isn't he using his earrings? Earrings?
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back. And now back to our show.
Whis nodded, and telepathically told Goku and Vegeta about the potential victory through this fusion method. But Planet Namek didn't have much time. They needed to do this quickly. Vegeta was punched away by Broly, and Goku onto the ground. Hurt, Goku managed to take off his right Potara earring. Broly jumped onto Goku's back, just as he yelled for Vegeta's attention. Goku dropped the Potara. He tried to grab it again, but Broly jumped on his back one more time. This time, the Potara flew out of his hand and onto the lava. The old Kai yelled out a defeated no. Goku too got a tear in his eye. He had failed to protect the universe he promised to. Frieza was free, and they would all die to this monster. Vegeta's hand was shaking, as he had seen the Potara fall into the lava. He of course didn't want to fuse, but this was their only option. But his name rang on his ear. Vegeta turned to meet the eyes of Kibito down below. Kibito threw something at Vegeta, caught it gracefully. It was Kibito's right Potara. Since Goku and Kibito both had an earring on the same ear, they wouldn't fuse. Kibito took off his other Potara, so Vegeta's would be attracted to Goku's. Kibito smiled, nodding at Vegeta. Vegeta hurried and placed the earring on his ear. Just as Broly jumped one more time on Goku's back, a white light flashed and Goku's body slid off from under Broly and towards Vegeta's. A volcano exploded in the distance as a new power was born. The fusion smirked, staring down at Broly while standing with his arms crossed. Instantly, Vegeta burst into Super Saiyan Blue. The battle begins once more, and the heroes finally stand a chance. Vegeta launches a barrage of kicks against Broly, who manages to catch one of them in the middle, throwing Vegeta down. However, on his way down, Vegeta points his arm out, unleashing his Keyblade and piercing through Broly's arm. The fusion spins gracefully as he lands on the ground, slamming Broly down with the blade. Kaioshin realizes something. There are still some soldiers and Namekians, and some of Vegeta's squad alive on planet Namek. They had to save them. He was really the only one who could help though, so little by little he teleported over to Namek, grabbing whatever person he could lock onto and taking them to Beerus' planet. Beerus hated the idea, but he was too engrossed in the fight to care. Broly opened his mouth, firing a Ki Blast cannon at Vegeta. The fusion, however, split himself into two, then four. The blast didn't hit any of them. Instead, they all rushed down to Broly, firing a Ki Blast through their fingers. From every angle, Broly was overwhelmed, and he expanded his aura to knock Vegeta away. In the process, the aura managed to catch Kaioshin by surprise, who had just teleported back to save someone. Kaioshin was knocked out instantly, blown away against the mountain. Beerus was getting nervous, but it would take too long for Whis to take them there. What could he do? As the battle against the fusion continued, there was times where they would disappear and reappear in midair, as if facing through space and time. Finally though, Vegeta needed to finish it all. Broly threw Vegeta up in the air, throwing ki balls at him to keep pushing him up. Vegeta disappeared from sight, way up high, and Broly took a deep breath, but then heard,
Final!
Broly looked up. It was Vegeta coming down like a missile, hands cuffed and full of blue and golden energy.
Kamehameha!
Broly and the whole plane he stood on shattered into pieces as the two Saiyans defused into Goku and Vegeta. The two continued to fall, powerless. There is a huge splash, and all three Saiyans begin to fall further and further underwater, each of them back in their base form. A piece of debris touches Goku's face, and he comes to his senses. He looks around and sees Broly on his left and Vegeta on his right. Goku was extremely low in energy, but he could do something. Turning Super Saiyan for speed, Goku swims over to Vegeta, teleporting him to Beerus' planet. Whis tries to tell him something, but Goku didn't listen. He didn't have time. Goku teleported back and teleported Broly onto Beerus' planet. Goku falls back, tired.
Where's Kaioshin? Is he not here?
He was in the middle of saving the people on the planet.
Beerus' heart drops, but Goku instantly teleports back to Namek. Looking around for a little, he overhears Kibito's voice.
Over here!
Goku rushes over to him. Kibito was dragging the unconscious body of Kaioshin and a small Namekian boy. Goku smiled at Kibito, nodding at him as he grabbed the two people. However, as he grabbed them, he reverted back to his base form. No matter what he tried, he couldn't teleport. He was completely out. Kibito gulped, then looked around. He knew what he needed to do as he placed a hand on Goku's shoulder.
I'm really proud of you, Kakarot. You taught Shin and I a lot. Now it's time for me to pay you back.
Goku felt a flash of ki curse through his body, enough to teleport himself and two others away. Kibito falls unconscious. Goku realizes what he's done. He gave all his power, all that he had left, to Goku so he could save the Namekian and Kaioshin. With a heavy heart, Goku teleported to Beerus' world once more. Quickly, he dropped the two and ran over to Whis.
Please, I don't have any energy left. Give me some. I need to save Kibito. But Namek, please.
Just as the angel healed Goku, he saw a flash of light cover the inside of the old Kaioshin's crystal ball. And then, nothing. Namek was gone. Many people were dead, and Kibito along with them. Goku dropped to the ground with his aura bursting open and a silver flare punching the ground over and over again. Whis was forced to chop them in the back of the neck, knocking him out. It was over. The battle was done, and the Namekians were left without a planet. A bunch of soldiers without an emperor, and Frieza was out there somewhere. They all knew it. They needed help from others to deal with this, it seemed. Goku still wanted to help the Namekians, give them a new planet, revive everyone who had been killed by Frieza, and avenge them. Perhaps...
Looks like your universe is in chaos again, huh, brother? Too bad my universe has half the Super Dragon Balls, or this would be much easier for you, huh?
Goku finally wakes up and remembers all that happened. He mourns the death of Kibito-shin, as well as the rest of the Namekians lost in the explosion. Kibito had for once shown that he was proud of this Saiyan. He knew he needed to revive him, one way or the other. Goku had only been out for a few minutes. Vegeta, Broly, Dende, Supreme Kai, Elder Kai, Kakao, and the rest of Vegeta's squad mates were all still taking residence in Beerus' planet. Those saved from Namek were still all unconscious. Elder Kai looked at Goku and assured him that he did everything he could, and that he needed to honor Kibito Kai's selfless act of kindness. After Whis healed Supreme Kai, Goku asked if there's anything he can do to fix this, and bring all those who were lost back. With a solemn look, Kaioshin shakes his head and places a hand on Goku's shoulder before saying that while Kibito's sacrifice was noble, Goku should not interfere with matters regarding life and death. Goku refuses to listen to this and sees it as his responsibility to do the right thing. After all, he's no Kai. He's just a mortal, so he can interfere. Old Kai and Kaioshin look at each other, accepting that Goku would not let this go. The young Namekian, which had been handed to Goku by Kibito, introduced himself as Dende in between cries. He was perplexed at the fact that he had lost his entire race. Goku approached him slowly, explaining that he shouldn't worry, he just needs to leave this to him, smiling cheerfully. Tears ran down Dende's face as he tries to calm himself, but for some reason he feels he can trust this man and tells Goku that he'll do whatever he can to aid in his planet and people's survival. Suddenly, a dazzling white beam descends onto the planet and a tall figure stands out. Goku squinted, and upon further inspection, this person seemed to bear a striking resemblance to Whis, and the person behind him mirrored Beerus, but perhaps a little bigger. The mysterious figures begin to speak. Before Goku could even ask some questions to Beerus, he growled and walked towards the slightly larger figure. Goku looked between the two gods. Well, he presumed he was a god, and then asked Lord Beerus if he really was his brother. And what was this about other universes? Beerus was too caught up in arguing with this new character, so the Elder Kai walked over and began to explain instead. He said that there are 12 universes in total, and they reside in Universe 7. Universe 6 is the twin universe, and home to Beerus' brother, Champa, the God of Destruction. He said that every God of Destruction is accompanied by an angel, who, similarly to Beerus and Champa, are also related, which explains the striking resemblance. Champa's attendant is named Vados. Lastly, he gave some insight about the Super Dragon Balls. At the mention of the Dragon Balls, Goku's eyes widened. Yes, he exclaimed with excitement, hope returning to the Saiyan's eyes, saying that with these Dragon Balls, they can undo every damage that Frieza did and bring Kibito back home. Supreme Kai nodded, but said that it was nearly impossible for any mortal to find all the Dragon Balls, and he can't help Goku this time. Beerus didn't look too impressed with his brother's sudden visit and looked towards him. He knew his brother wouldn't appear for no reason, so he asked for a motive. Champa laughed loudly. Oh, it's nothing nefarious. Just a little tournament between our universes to see which one reigns supreme. And whoever comes out victorious will receive the Super Dragon Balls. Now it was Goku's turn to get excited all over again. All 7 Dragon Balls handed to him, and all he'd have to do is enjoy fighting. He'd be able to save all those that were lost. A date for the tournament was decided upon, and in the meantime, Goku, Vegeta, Broly, and Kakao all took residence on Beerus' planet and underwent some more intense training to prepare for the upcoming battles. Broly at first was very violent and did not want anything to do with any of them, since he had been their enemy beforehand. He was still upset about his father and had no idea who to trust. He was all alone. Goku felt sorry for him, and Vegeta also showed some sympathy, though Vegeta was more interested in the unprecedented power, and thought he could be of great use if he joined his pirate gang. Not only that, it was also nice to have found a new surviving Saiyan. Goku explained to Broly that Frieza used him and his father, and took advantage of them. He also tried very nicely to explain that using a shock collar on your son isn't exactly a loving thing to do. Broly listened to and contemplated what he said, and after some time of mourning and thinking, he agreed to join them in training, since he did actually enjoy fighting when it was for himself. The final member was chosen to be Monaka, at Beerus' request. Goku had no idea there were even stronger fighters out there. They could have probably used their help against Frieza. The days of training passed quickly, and the tournament was upon them. Goku, Vegeta, Broly, Monaka, Kakao, and all the various gods arrived to the designated area, an isolated planet between the two universes, surrounded by the Super Dragon Balls. Yeah, Shin was right about how it would be nearly impossible for any mortal to gather them all. Goku thought to himself. Their competitors arrived soon after, and the first battle was between Goku and Botomo. Goku wasn't really sure about what to expect from this guy, and the fight began, with Goku rushing towards the larger figure, punching him in the gut hard while remaining in his basic state. But for some reason, he wouldn't take any damage. Goku quickly picked up on his shtick though. Without further ado, he turned into Super Saiyan Blue, just for a second, and rushed his foe, catching him completely off guard and knocking him out of the ring and into unconsciousness with a roundhouse kick. Ring out! The first match was over, and Goku had come out on top. Beerus grinned at his brother, before making silly faces to mock him. Champa growled, "No worries, we have other far more talented fighters. Just you wait, brother." Beerus responded by laughing at his brother's unlikely claims. The cloaked fighters stood before Goku, and all three Saiyans stare in disbelief at the Frieza-like character. Broly's aura immediately burst, as he became extremely restless. He had a burning hatred for Frieza, due to him being used by the Cold Emperor. He began demanding Kakarot to switch with him. The others watched as Goku turned to face Broly. He explained that taking his anger out on Frost would be wrong. He might be the same race, but just because he looks like him does not mean that he's responsible for the actions of Frieza. Who knows? This guy may be nice. Broly calmed himself and listened to reason. Back to the battle, the Frieza lookalike begins to introduce himself as Frost, and Champa makes a big deal about him being the legendary hero of his universe. Goku isn't really bothered. He knows he has to win regardless. Frost is slightly in disbelief that Goku isn't worried at all, with Goku saying that, you know, we have our own you in our universe, and his power far surpasses yours. I'm sorry, but this battle's over. Using teleportation, he gets behind Frost and prepares to attack. Frost turns and lands a punch before he's kicked several meters away. He falls to his knees, wounded and hurt, but for some reason Goku's movements become staggered and he falls to the floor. Goku is declared knocked out as soon as he falls. Now Frost awaits the next opponent. Beerus gulps under his breath, but Vegeta jumps into the arena, saying that such underhanded techniques wouldn't work for him. He paid close attention, and he knew that nobody from Frieza's clan had such pure intentions. The prince burst his aura open, going into regular Super Saiyan. Anything more would be overkill, and blasted him with a Gallic gun. Frost immediately laid on the ground, unconscious and unmoving. Vegeta approached Frost to reveal the poison he had on his arm. Sarcastically, he mocked Champa, asking him why his warriors were so powerful. Now he wanted a real challenge. With clear frustration in his voice, Champa told his next warrior to make his way to the arena. A towering robot appeared, going by the name of Vegeta. Vegeta sized up the foe, and the fight began. Playing out similarly to the fight in the original, Vegeta comes out on top as well, finding it easy and natural to hurl insults at his opponent, resulting in the robot momentarily losing the will to fight and giving Vegeta enough of an opening so that he can throw him out of bounds, securing yet another victory for Universe 7. Next, this is a short, lean boy. There was something very familiar about him to Vegeta, but he couldn't quite place it. Kaba, we soon learn his name, states that he won't lose, and he'll prove how formidable the Saiyan race is. Vegeta especially, as well as the other Saiyans, are a little confused, and Vegeta begins asking questions. The fight happens just like in canon, resulting in Vegeta taking a mentor role to Kaba and helping him unlock Super Saiyan before knocking him out of the ring. Next up is Vegeta versus Hit, Hit being Universe 6's ultimate weapon and can solo the rest of Universe 7. The fight is about the same, with Vegeta succumbing to Hit and his unbeatable time skip. Goku and Beerus both look pretty shocked at the result. Goku is about to step forward, but he stops himself, looking back at Broly and asking him why he doesn't give it a shot first. Broly smiles at Goku, thanking him for the consideration, and jumping into the arena. The two fighters stare each other down, and at the sound of the announcer, the battle begins in a clash. Broly, not one for holding back hits, attacked Hit with full force, which surprised the assassin a little. Hit composed himself, then started to dodge more and more of Broly's attacks, as he was getting used to the movements. Broly huffs and bursts his aura open, going immediately to his full power Super Saiyan form. His movements become unpredictable as his rage takes over, though this time, even while enraged, his techniques are far superior to how they were in the past. Hit seemed to struggle, he could neither keep up nor use his technique properly. The sound echoes around them as Broly staggers backwards, winded a little and confused at what just punched him. Snarling at Hit, he delivers a gigantic mouth blast, which catches everyone, including Hit, off guard and destroys part of the portrait of Champa. Hit manages to escape with minimal damage. Hit admitted that this guy may be too much. He knew he had to end it before anything else could happen. At that exact moment, Broly charged towards him and unleashed a deadly assault, giving in completely to his rage. And in the end, Broly was victorious. Goku was ecstatic. They had done it. Namek and all those killed in the explosion could be wished back. They had all agreed that this was the wish they wanted. No objections. Champa was at a loss for words. Even Beerus and Goku were. Goku wasn't sure how he would have fared against Hit, but he knew he was a formidable foe indeed. He looked forward to the chance to battle him in the future. Senno appeared, congratulating everyone for the tournament. Unlike regular Goku, he has the utmost respect for Zeno and doesn't ask for a tournament. He doesn't even approach Senno. In fact, he is actually a little bit scared of him, but that could wait. He needed to revive everyone first, and most importantly to him, Kibito. The dragon was summoned and their wish was granted with ease, bringing back peace to the universe once more. Goku and the others had done it. They had saved the Namekian race and brought back Piccolo, but Frieza was out there somewhere. However, unbeknownst to everyone, Frieza was the last of their worries. As Goku continues to train in the land of the Kais, he becomes curious and wants to find out more about the other universes. He asks Whis and Beerus if they can take him to visit the others, and they agree. Broly and Vegeta, on the other hand, visit Universe 6, planet Sadala in particular, becoming friends with not only Kaba, but after a slight altercation with a band of gangsters, they also take on Caulifla and Kale. Their new adventures begin, and Goku's excited to explore the other universes. He had seen a couple already. The next one was Universe 10, ruled by the Kaioshin Goku, who's accompanied by his Kaioshin in training, a Kai known as Zamasu. Peace resumes once more. Goku continues his training in the land of the Kais, accompanied by Kaioshin, Elder Kai, and Kibito. Planet Namek returns to its rightful place in the universe, and the Namekians who were killed by the Tyrant Frieza are all revived. Vegeta had requested that Broly joins his band of pirates. He'd be a great asset to them, and though Vegeta did not express this to Broly personally, he had become rather fond of the Saiyan's company. Frieza carried on, recruiting soldiers and transforming the Frieza Force back to its former glory, on the other side of the galaxy and far away from our heroes. But Goku knew that he would have to face him once more in the near future. Some time passed, and Goku finally decided it was time to ask Kaioshin about the other universes. He had promised him he would elaborate after some time had passed from the tournament. Shin sighed. Perhaps it was time to teach Goku about them. Smiling, he said, "Alright then, it's easier to show you than to tell you, Goku." He approached the Saiyan and touched his shoulder, and the two were transported to an unfamiliar place. Goku went around meeting the Supreme Kais from the various universes, and even some formidable foes from them, including the Pride Troopers, the Fireballs, and many more. Eventually, it is time to go to Universe 10, and Goku takes a liking to Gowazu. However, Zamasu seems a little put off by the mortal that is accompanying the Kais, asking sarcastically what the deal with a mortal is. Is he just visiting the Supreme Kai of Universe 7, or is he an attendant? Shin immediately replies, noticing the sarcasm in Zamasu's voice. He didn't take kindly to it, and he said, for the first time ever, this mortal here is actually a Kai in training, and he's next in line after me. Supreme Kai had never outright said this before. He never imagined that he, a mortal, could become a Kaioshin. Zamasu cannot comprehend this. How could a simple mortal begin to compare to the Supreme Kais? He sees this as Shin clearly mocking him. Small rocks begin to shake around Zamasu. Though this goes unnoticed by the Kais, Goku raises his brow. A Kai in training, huh? Zamasu said, looking Goku up and down in a not subtle mocking tone. He was curious to see what could make this mortal worthy of a god. Goku smiled, punching his own hand, declaring that he's always down for a challenge. Bursting his ki opening, transforming into Super Saiyan. The two clash, and as they fight, it becomes apparent to Zamasu that he is extremely outmatched. However, Goku is very impressed by the god. In Zamasu's mind, his power was completely undeserved, and he kept some resentment for a long time. time, especially once Gowasu began to compare Goku's progress with his own. This tore down Zamasu, but he did realize something. During Universe 7's stay in his world, it was revealed that Goku was not the only mortal to achieve the godly power. The likes of Frieza, Broly, and Vegeta were brought up. If he wished to do something in the future, then he'd better plan things out right. For now, he put aside his disgust and acted civilly, engaging in a friendly conversation with him and the Kais, which actually proved to be very useful, as it was during this friendly chat that he learned about Universe 7's encounter with the Super Dragon Balls. Those mystical items seemed to be the perfect tool to any plan and could help him accomplish pretty much anything. Maybe a little trip to Universe 6 and 7 was in order. Goku sensed Zamasu's distaste, but put it down to frustration from losing the battle. After the Kais reminisced over tea, Shin and Goku continued their multiversal mission, and the two said their farewells to Gowasu and Zamasu. As time passed, Goku only grows stronger and stronger, while Zamasu's conviction against mortals grows in rage. The Machiavellian monster begins to develop his plan. One day, while Goku trains in the Kaioshin realm, Whis, Beerus, and Vados appear. Goku and the rest are surprised to see them. Beerus rushes towards Shin, hugging him. It wasn't exactly a friendly hug, but rather one of relief. Goku asked what's going on, and Whis explained that someone had killed the Kaioshin of Universe 6, thus killing Champa too. Someone had been going around and murdering the various Kaioshin. They had to investigate and check in on the rest of the Kais. Beerus turned to Shin and snapped his fingers, trapping Shin in the Caesar that Goku was training with, a recreation of an old relic. Goku asked what the hell, but Beerus put a finger up to stop him. Beerus explained that Shin was nothing but a liability to him until they figured out what's going on. This is for his own protection. Beerus, Whis, and Vados came together to go to Gowasu's planet to check in on him. Goku ran towards the beam of light, yelling at Kibito and the old Kai to protect the sword. In a flash of light, the beam teleported to Gowasu. Once there, they found Zamasu drinking tea. They asked where Gowasu was, and Zamasu explained that he was currently grieving the loss of his master, but it was obvious that something wrong was going on. Zamasu smirked and mentioned that Goku had gotten a lot stronger than before. Beerus could sense the evil ki coming from Zamasu and was quick on his step to attack. However, the attack never reached Zamasu, as Beerus felt a stabbing pain through his body. His eyes darted back and forth to see a dozen portals open around him, and Zamasu from different points in time and even dimensions appeared. Some even looked like Goku, others had long white hair, but all had extreme hatred. Goku rushed into battle, while Vados and Whis simply dodged all the attacks from the Zamasu. Beerus and Goku's team-up was epic, but was it enough to defeat all the Zamasu? Beerus got the upper hand and slammed the main Zamasu down against the ground, but he simply laughed.
Don't you see, Lord Beerus? You are just a distraction. You are about to die. What? I know about the sword. No! Kakarot! Damn it! Kai! It's too late. You have lost, my lord. What the?
Zamasu saw something strange happen. A changing color of Goku's Potara. Did he see it wrong? It was just out of the corner of his eye. It must have been nothing. Goku teleported over to the Universe 7 Kaioshin realm, finding a horrific sight. Kibito laid on the floor, extremely hurt. The old Kai was shaking in fear, and a man that looked just like himself stood over Shin, the person who had been his best friend, his father. Goku smashed his fist against the enemy's face, sending him flying off through a tree. Goku held Shin in his arms, reassuring him that it would be okay, that the person who just attacked him was not him.
It wasn't me, Shin! It wasn't me! It wasn't me!
However, Shin simply caressed his hand on Goku's face. The Saiyan held him tight, as the hand then dropped to the side, Shin passing away. Goku's calm heart had been awoken by fury. His aura exploded into a white flare unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. The old Kai could only watch from behind a rock as the white consumed his body and flashed into blue. Many thoughts went through his mind. Was Beerus dead too? Was Zamasu the evil Goku? He couldn't waste any more time and told the old Kai to take care of Shin and Kibito. A portal opened where the enemy had been, vanishing. In an instant, Goku teleported back to Lord Beerus, where he found that he was being overwhelmed by even more Zamasu than before. Beerus asked if Shin was okay, but Goku just looked at him confused. No way, how was Beerus alive? Beerus cocked an eyebrow. What did he mean that Shin was dead? That wasn't possible, but that's when it clicked. Beerus looked at Goku's earring. Shin had transferred the Kaioshin role to Goku right before his death. He had saved Beerus. Goku couldn't believe it. He was a Kaioshin now? Something he had been working for his entire life? At what cost? When Zamasu heard this, he exploded in rage. All the Zamasu erupted their auras and pushed everyone back. Zamasu and Goku Black hovered over the others. Goku Black laughed, saying that it was his face which Shin saw last. He mocked Goku relentlessly as the two used their Potara earrings to fuse. The fight continued, and though Goku had the advantage at first, thanks to his anger boost, Beerus realized that it was a lost cause. They needed to retreat. Goku wanted to keep fighting, so it was a surprise when Whis put a hand on his shoulder and the teleportation light took them to Universe 7 once more, to the Kaioshin planet. Beerus knew they didn't have much time, so he tried to argue with Goku that he needed to stay behind while Beerus handled it. If Goku dies, then Beerus dies. Then Zamasu would win. Goku couldn't argue with that, but he couldn't just sit on the sidelines. He wouldn't. Beerus sighed. Clearly, the Sea Sword didn't work last time. He needed to do something a little more drastic. Whis tapped his staff, which teleported Goku inside of it. Goku didn't know what this place was, but he heard Whis' voice echo. He explained that this dense dimension can be used to train, and that he would be safe there. Goku was incredibly angry. He wanted to help. Nay, he needed to avenge Shin. Beerus thanked Whis, and they, along with Vados, returned to Universe 6. There, they got Kaba, Caulifla, Kale, Vegeta, and Broly. The Saiyans had been training together for a couple of months. Vegeta asked where Kakarot was, as it had been a long time since he trained. Beerus said that he was busy, but that didn't matter. They needed their help. Vegeta saw this as even more training to defeat Frieza, while Broly just wanted to do the right thing. Kibito saved him long ago. If he, or anyone else he loved, was in trouble, then he wanted to help out. Thus, this team of Saiyans was set and ready to take on Zamasu. But what they saw once they returned to Gowazu's planet was horrific. Zamasu was spreading through the universe, seemingly hundreds. No way they could win, right? The Saiyans started out strong, with Vegeta Super Saiyan Blue leading the charge, as Kaba and Caulifla Super Saiyan 2 surprised everyone, and finally both Kale and Broly tanking and rushing through the crowd. Many Zamasu were defeated, but as soon as one was done for, two more took his place. Even Beerus himself was getting tired. How could he win this way? He looked around only to see Kale, Caulifla, everyone being brought down to their knees. Broly was the only one to still be standing as he rushed through the swarm of Zamasu. Vegeta said,
"If only Kakarot was here."
Beerus clenched his fist. He couldn't risk Goku dying. The fight continued with Broly doing everything he could, but even his own power was starting to be too much. He defeated many Zamasu, but he was becoming a danger to everyone else too. But as everyone shook in fear, Whis felt his staff shake. Whis tilted his head, but smiled at the realization, as Broly was blasted by a dozen Zamasu down to the ground, and he pronounced himself the winner. A bright flash of light followed by a soul-shaking scream made everyone turn around. All the Saiyans and Zamasu looked back to see the white light dissolve into Goku's silver hair. Beerus couldn't believe it. Goku had used his time within Whis' staff to meditate and understand his mistakes. Perhaps being in there helped, and he finally managed to do something that Whis had told him long ago. Remove his ego and move without thinking. A simple scream was enough to break the wall between the reality within the staff and the real world. Goku now had Ultra Instinct. Omen. The many Zamasu zoomed towards Goku, who dodged and weaved out of the way. Simple punches were enough to knock away most opponents, until he reached Broly. Trying to save him, Goku wasn't letting any Zamasu touch him. Eventually, he was able to get Broly back to Beerus. It seemed they could actually do it. Goku powered up his ki to the max, extending his hand out and creating a Z-Sword. This incredible power was then used to slice right through the middle of the few Zamasu, but the evildoer laughed. He began to melt, deform, and even explode. Have they won? No, because the many Zamasu continued to increase in size. But not only that, the sky itself began to take the shape of Zamasu's face. What the hell was this? Zamasu was beginning to spread through the universe. Universe 10 was doomed. The team couldn't believe it. What could they do? Goku tried to continue the fight, doing everything to defeat the monster, but to no avail. Vegeta and the rest tried to tell him that they needed to retreat and escape, but Goku wouldn't give up. That was until Beerus put a hand on his shoulder. Beerus' sad eyes let Goku know that it really was over, and he powered down. They had lost. With a sigh, Goku and the rest teleported to Universe 6 as Zamasu continued to spread through the universe. Goku punched the ground, shaking all of planet Sadala. Not only could he not avenge Shin, but they doomed Universe 10. They all stood around, quiet. Vados commenting on how Zamasu was spreading through Universe 10, meaning that it was only a matter of time until he spread to the other universes. They couldn't just sit around and do nothing. Beerus argued that they did all they could, that they lost. Even getting help from Universe 6 didn't help. What could they do? All the universes were doomed. That's when Goku perked up. All the universes. That's it! Goku jumped in excitement. He ran to Vados and Whis, saying that he had an idea. It is true that they couldn't do it just with Universe 6's help, but this wasn't just a Universe 6 problem, it was a multiversal problem. Goku has spent the last few months visiting the various universes, meeting amazing people and fighters. They needed their help. They needed people like the Pride Troopers, the Fireballs, even the Trio of the Dangers. Everyone could help. Everyone could lend their energy. Everyone was skeptical. But to everyone's surprise, it was Vegeta who first stood up and agreed with them. He wasn't willing to give up just yet. Broly followed. Then the Universe 6 Saiyans, Whis, Vados, and finally Lord Beerus, who sighed, saying, "This better work." They made a plan to divide up and go to the various universes. Vegeta visited Universe 2, Goku to Universe 11, Kale and Caulifla to Universe 3, Broly to Universe 4, etc, etc. They knew they were running out of time, and they tried to do whatever they could. The Pride Troopers were surprisingly not that difficult to convince. Toppo, after all, was next in line to be the God of Destruction, and he cared deeply about justice. Real justice, not whatever Zamasu had in mind. Jiren took a little bit longer, but once he got told that his universe's God of Destruction, an old friend, had been killed by Zamasu, he stepped right up. Some of the strongest fighters ever appeared, even the likes of Hit, one from Universe 7 named Legic. Many Yardrats lended their help, including the powerful Pibara. But perhaps most surprising of all was when Goku appeared on Frieza's ship. All of the soldiers were terrified when they saw him, and Frieza asked why he shouldn't just kill him. Goku swallowed his pride, looking at Vegeta beside him. Clearly, he was fuming with rage, but they told him that all the universes were in danger, and they needed everyone's help. Frieza was one of their most formidable opponents, and though they hoped the next time they saw his power was in a battle between themselves, there was something much bigger than them. The fate of the entire universe needed their help. Frieza laughed, but this challenge actually seemed a little exciting. If there are other universes out there, then there's more to conquer. But that means he needed to stop whatever this Zamasu guy was from destroying his potential empire. Frieza gladly joined. Goku and Vegeta stand in front of everyone, as Goku thanks them all. This will be an arduous mission, but it's for the sake of the entire universe. Basil snickers, saying that he just wants to get this over with. Jiren proclaims that they better not get in his way, that he doesn't need their help. Some arguing begins as Ribrianne asks what he means by that. Did he think he was better than all of them? Vegeta is about to speak up, but to his surprise, Goku is the one to raise his voice and yell at them. Goku tells them all to be quiet. He knows that they wouldn't usually work together, but that this is much bigger than they are. This Zamasu guy will stop at nothing to exterminate the mortals. He already caused so much pain and suffering. He is sure some of them were close to their Kaioshin, or to their God of Destruction. He knows he was. He was raised from infancy by Shin. The universe looks down to the ground, with Jiren and Toppo remembering their God of Destruction, and how he was a Pride Trooper once too. Someone asks why Beerus is alive, and why Goku is dressed like a Kaioshin. Goku explains that Shin, his adoptive father, entrusted him with the title of Kaioshin right before his death. He knew they could save their universe together. They were all quiet, until Caulifla cheered loudly, saying, "Yeah, this one's for Champa!" The rest of the universe joined in with cheers, as Goku turned to Whis and Beerus, nodding at them. They were ready. Zamasu sat on a throne made of rubble. Other Zamasu sat around him, while others continued to spread around, traveling to other universes. The sound of instant transmission makes the few Zamasu look up from the throne. Smirking at the sight of Goku, he welcomed him back to the new empire. "Zamasu," Goku said, "stand down. You once swore to protect your universe as a Kaioshin. It's not too late." Zamasu laughs, saying that the Saiyan really is stupid if he's willing to forgive him that easily. Goku smirks, saying that, yeah, he's right, he'd never forgive him. Faster than light, Goku zoomed towards the main Zamasu and struck him in the face, destroying the throne and causing a huge wave of wind that dragged every other Zamasu away. Goku's hair sparkled silver, and Zamasu was hurt. Actually hurt. A drop of blood. Zamasu engulfed his body with ki. Zamasu yelled at all the others to stay back, that Goku is his to finish. Zamasu taunted Goku, calling him a coward for simply dodging his attacks. With Ultra Instinct, Zamasu was becoming unstable, breaking apart. One lucky strike finally landed on Goku, sending him flying back and falling to his knees. Zamasu grabbed him by the hair, making him look up at him. The evil Kai said, "Poor Kakarot. No father, no mother, no Kais to shield him, all alone."
He's not alone.
Jiren's voice echoes through the blinding light of Whis and Vados, teleporting everyone. Zamasu's heart stopped. A blast hit him directly in the chest, exploding in the red flare. Jiren, Hit, and Vegeta led the giant army into battle. Zamasu recovered from the blast, but it was clear that he was losing it. He yelled at all of them to attack, and without wasting any time, the two sides clashed in the emptiness of the Kaioshin realm. Ribrianne and the Fireballs combined their forces with the Pride Troopers for a superhero special attack. The trio of the Dangerous reluctantly supported the machines in creating a perimeter so the teams could take the Zamasu on in waves, while Universe 7 and 6 stood back to back in an amazing combo. Vegeta and his team of pirates, including Broly, battled with the Frieza force. Vegeta hated every second of it and swore to kill Frieza as soon as it was over, a sentiment which Frieza welcomed. Even so, they stood side by side in a combination Gallic Gun Death Beam attack. It used his time stop effectively, with Goku and Jiren using it to their advantage. Goku took notice of how amazing so many people were, wishing they had met in a different situation. Many Zamasu fell, but their power was such that they began to overwhelm everyone, just in numbers. Goku looked around, seeing his friends and comrades fall. They were so close yet so far. What could Goku do? That's when he looks back to see Jiren, Vegeta, and Broly all still standing, shielding everyone that was hurt, giving all their energy to save the universes. Goku was going to join in as well, but that's when Goku was pierced through the chest by a couple of Zamasu. He was instantly sent down to the floor, where two others joined. The Saiyan coughed up blood. How could he have been so careless? Vegeta yelled back, angrier than ever, his aura erupting and pushing him further beyond just for a second to drag Zamasu away. But one remained on top of Goku, the main fused Zamasu. He laughed at him. Goku slowly began to black out, but as he did, he heard a voice. The voice of someone he didn't really recognize. A man who told him to survive, and a woman who pleaded with him not to forget them. Finally, one familiar voice. Shin telling him to never give up hope. His mind was then flooded with the voices of everyone he had met, yelling his name. Kibito, Vegeta, Beerus, Whis, Frieza, Kale, Caulifla, Broly, Jiren, everyone. Goku tried to reach for the Z-Sword, the sword he had used to train long ago. The sword was not with him, but as if a phantom limb, he could still feel it. Suddenly, that feeling became more concrete when he closed his fist. His eyes started open to see a sword of pure ki. Everyone around him was lifting their hands up, sharing their Genki. Zamasu asked what the hell was going on. Why had Goku's hair color changed? Goku burst his aura open, launching Zamasu back, but Goku felt heavy. He looked around, realizing that he was encased in something. Vegeta looked at him. The attack from Zamasu had pushed him to reach new heights, into a true Ultra Instinct. But not only that, he now resided inside an avatar of ki. Goku looked back at Vegeta, realizing that he had been amassing a huge amount of Genki. What was that about? The fact was that it was a Yardran technique. Vegeta was using Spirit Fission to collect energy and give it to Goku while he was down. Vegeta had realized that he was reaching for his sword. That's when he thought of collecting everyone's energy to give it to him. Goku smiled from within the avatar. He said, "Thank you, Vegeta. You really are number one." Goku swung his sword once, slicing not only the main Zamasu in half, but nearly every other one. Many disappeared right then and there, but the main one wouldn't let up. The remaining Zamasu rushed to grab onto the Ki Avatar, preventing him from attacking. Goku was much stronger and could liberate himself, but they just kept on coming. He just needed one more swing of the sword, one more attack to defeat him. He could feel it. The exhausted Beerus then heard a squeaky voice from behind. A voice saying that this was a really cool fight. It was Zeno. Everyone turned to look in horror. Everyone but Zamasu and Goku. Zamasu declared himself as the new Lord of Everything, but Zeno just chuckled. Beerus pleaded with Zeno to do something, but the little one thought it would just be cheating. But Jiren turned as well, saying that Goku needs his help. His life depends on it. Zeno didn't move a muscle. That's when Jiren finally swallowed his pride and said,
"If you want to see this incredible guy fight again, then raise your hand."
Everyone looked in confusion, but Zeno actually did it, giving a tiny bit of Genki to Vegeta. But that tiny bit of Genki was just enough for him to struggle to hold it up. It was so dense. Vegeta didn't waste any time, throwing the last bit of Genki onto Goku. The roar of an Ozaru shook the entire multiverse. As all the Zamasu that were holding on to Goku had nothing to say but Shin. With one swing of the sword, Zamasu was erased from existence. The dark skies being opened by the glorious aura of Goku. He was struggling to keep his power. Beerus knew what to do. He approached Goku, simply saying that he was proud of him, that it was over, and that he could let go. With that, Goku opened his palm, the key sword dropping and shattering into sparkles. The Kaioshin's eyes cleared, seeing a vision of Shin, Bardock, and Gine behind Beerus. He fell down to his knees as the Genki exploded and spread all through the universes. Finally, they had won. This time, life had won. Even so, the universes were still not at peace. Nearly every God of Destruction and Kaioshin had been killed, and though the fighters celebrated just for a little bit, they turned around to look at Zeno. He didn't know what they could do. Instead, he told everyone that with the Super Dragon Balls, everything could come back to normal. If Goku wishes it, that is. Everyone then turned to Goku, as the Super Dragon Balls appeared behind Zeno. The massive orbs glowed in the sky. He nodded, proudly asking Super Shenron to return all the gods of destruction and Kaioshin killed by Zamasu back to life. Shin appeared before Kakarot, proudly smiling at him. Shin told him that he was extremely proud of him, and Goku hugged him tightly, tears streaming down his face. Goku began to take off his Potara to give them to Shin, but Shin pushed them back, telling Goku that he did a great job being a Kai, much better than he had ever done before. It really is time to pass on the torch. Beams of light began to appear that would take everyone back to their normal universe. Vegeta turned around to tell Frieza to stop, that their battle isn't over yet, saying that they had done a great job fighting for their universe. For now, he thinks they deserve rest. Frieza stepped into the light, and though Vegeta damned him, he knew they would meet soon enough. Kel and Broly were talking about how they want to fight each other, how their berserk forms are so similar, but Goku was just tired. He honestly just wanted to sit down and watch over his universe. Him and Vegeta stepped into the light, and as they disappeared, Goku glanced over at the shorter Saiyan, saying to him, "You know, Vegeta, maybe you'll be my God of Destruction." The Prince of all Saiyans chuckled, saying, "Yeah, right, as if I would ever let my life force be tied to yours." With that, the Saiyans were teleported away, with hope and adventure on the horizon.